It's Tuesday, October 25. In the headlines, JPS plans a power outage in 8 parishes. Roadworks budget more than $4 billion. Regionally, Bahamas Air set to take flight. And in sports, Khalees Spencer to receive a bronze medal. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government has to be very strategic with the roadworks budget, noting that the first strategy employed is to improve roads that carry the heaviest volumes of traffic.
So if you look right across Jamaica, you will see significant investments in major thoroughfares that are now currently carrying high volumes or designed to carry high volumes to reduce traffic and increase your mobility and connectivity.
The Prime Minister notes that in almost all constituencies across Jamaica, local roads are being repaired.
We do make allocations to treat with local roads, secondary roads. That comes through the parish councils and budgets through the NWA.
He pointed out that this year, the budget for road repairs, maintenance and rehabilitation for the National Works Agency is approximately $4.5 billion. He was speaking at a contract signing for Phase 3 of a road rehabilitation project between Friendship and Hurlock in St. James. The Jamaica Public Service, JPS, has announced several maintenance-related power outages for Tuesday, October 25, and Wednesday, October 26, in sections of at least 8 parishes. The Light and Power Company gave notice in a series of tweets. Here are the details. Here's a breakdown of the areas to be impacted on Tuesday, October 25. In Portland, Craig Hill from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. In Westmoreland, Sea Splash Tuni Grill Craft Market from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Sheffield to Spring Garden from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. St. Mary, Cane Heap from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Hanover, Rejoin from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. In St. James, Rhine Park Scheme, Rosevale and Kingsgate from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. St. Elizabeth in New River from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. In St. Thomas, Havana Road, Retreat from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Here's a breakdown of the areas to be impacted on Wednesday, October 26. In St. Anne, Chester from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. In Hanover, Harding Hall to Grange, Chatham, Prospect, Friendship and Spring Mountain from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. In St. Mary, from Top Leinster, Jobs Hill, Seaton from 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and several areas in Westmoreland. Gwendolyn Wright McKnight, mother and grandmother of the 5 victims of a murderous attack in Cocopiece, Clarendon in June, says she is satisfied with the sentence handed down to Rasheen Barnett, who pled guilty to the murders. Last Thursday, Barnett was given 5 life sentences by a home circuit court judge, Justice Leighton Pusey.
Well, if I say I am not, I would be not a child of God. I'm satisfied a little because I know it cannot bring back my daughter and my grandchildren, but I have to take this that happened, you know? Yes. So I am a little satisfied because I did want my justice, and God has made it possible for me to get some satisfaction.
Barrett killed his cousins, 31-year-old Kemisha Wright, and her children, 15-year-old Commander Smith, 10-year-old Sharalee Smith, Rafaela Smith, who was 5 years old, and 23-month-old Kishawn Henry in Clarendon in June this year. The Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn, gave her reflection on the ruling.
It sought to educate, and it sought in a very transparent way to really make it quite clear. One, how the sentencing function of a judge is very, very difficult. But on the other hand, because of where we are in the 21st century, it showed in a very positive way the answer by the judiciary to answer the public, to respond to the public clamor for transparency.
Jeffrey Bowen was awarded a badge of honor for gallantry on National Heroes Day. In August 2020, Mr. Bowen rescued a drowning boy from a crocodile-infested water canal in Bridgeport, Portmore in St. Catherine. The boy, who is deaf, was spotted in the water some time after 7 in the evening on that day, fighting to stay afloat. We hear what happened in this JIS interview.
My name is Jeffrey Bowen.
Hailing from the Sunshine City of Portmore, Jeffrey Lloyd Bowen, a taxi and tour operator, gained the title of Portmore Hero from his peers and community for rescuing a drowning boy from a crocodile-infested pond on July 31, 2020.
Going home and passing this location, a friend of mine stopped me and said that somebody is inside the water. So I pull over, I asked him if the person is a body or something. He said no, the person's still alive. So, you know, I have to come see this because I never seen this before. Come and go on the bank, look over in the water. I realized that it wasn't a big person. Because it was dark, so I couldn't really see inside the water. So the person continued to come up the stream until they reached a certain part of the water. There's a street light. You know, I could see that it was a little boy. So, you know, by now, I couldn't leave again because I realized it was a child. You know, I couldn't tell who the child was, if I know him or not. You know, it could be my child, so I wouldn't pass and leave him there. I started calling him and say, hey Papa, come here. You know, what are you doing inside the water? You know, come towards me. Let me take it to your mother. You know, him just passed and him look up on the bank. So I know him see me because he look up on me. You know, him have these two bright eyes. You know, he didn't say anything, but I know say he needs some help. He can drown, the crooks them can come up at any time. He turn around and head towards the bridge because there's a bridge there. By the time he reached to the bridge to try and climb up on the bridge and see if I could hold him, he already gone underneath the bridge. But I know at that location at the bridge, that's where you most spotted the crooks, especially in the evenings. Some of the largest crocodile I see in Portmore is right here. So I went on the other side of the water and was looking for him to see him come up on the other side of the bridge. I was there for a while, him never come out until I see him pop out on that side. I went closer to the water and that's when I see him just disappear. So I don't know if he was drowning at the time or the crooks them have him. By this people start coming, people start stop, people start look. Nobody now in the water, people start to find excuses and say, you know, it's sewage water. People that say them can't swim, crocodile in the water. There was no time for wait an emergency vehicle. Anybody would have to save that child, it would have to be somebody on the spot. I say, you not dead today, because I come for you. Whatever it takes, I come for you. So that's when I jump off. You know, it's a clear mind knowing that crooks in there. A little bit of stick in my hand. Just in case look like the crooks that come, I can maybe do something. I don't know what I'm going to do, but maybe do something. But I decided to say I wasn't going to leave him in the water. Because as a father, I know that I would want somebody to save my child as well. And you know, at the time looking at him in the water, it's like I was looking at my son. By the help of God, I come back out with him for me to save a life. You know.
It was later discovered that the boy was hearing impaired. For exemplary heroism in saving the life of a young boy from drowning, Mr. Jeffrey Lloyd Bowen.
The Badge of Honor for Gallantry is awarded to persons who have performed acts of gallantry or acts of heroism, or who have shown great courage in circumstances of extreme danger.
To really see that they really recognize what I did, even know it and feel better, to know that for save one life, and I would have encouraged, more people out there to, no time anybody in danger, instead of you record it, I think the best thing you should try and do is just give a helping hand. Because
when you have a child, especially a toddler, as a parent or guardian, you put in effort and mechanisms to keep your child away from harmful things in the home, like electrical wires, sockets, and matches. The same can be said for our elderly. As you grow old, you might need help to get around the house and to remind yourself about daily routines. If you want to hear more about making your home safe in that sense, listen to this interview with Miss Geraldine Campbell.
Hello, I'm Geraldine Campbell. I'm 78 years old, and this afternoon we are going to talk with Dr. Tyndale about the safety in the home and how we can keep safe. Dr. Tyndale, how are you?
Hi Geraldine, I'm fine.
Good. Now, what are some of the issues about keeping safe in the home?
All right. Keeping safe in the home is about protecting oneself from injury. And there are many sources of injury in our home, which we think of as our castle or haven, but there are many sources of injury. Falls is one of those major sources. We have to think about what we can do to make our environment safer, because as we get older, we are at increased risk for things like falls and other injuries. And so it makes it necessary for us to try, to protect our space.
One of the things that I have found about the falls is as we get older, our balance is not quite as good as it used to be, right? For I'll be walking in the home, and I find that if I walk faster, I'm able to keep my balance better than when I walk slowly. And you try not to hold on to anything as you're passing, but you find that as you get older, you depend a lot on something else or perhaps somebody to keep your balance. And of course, the shoes and the things that you wear, what do you think?
Yeah, so as we get older, it becomes a little bit more difficult to maintain our balance. Some people have other challenges with mobility. Sometimes we have other issues like vision problems that can also impair us. Yes. And so we always recommend that you try to make the home safe. So if you need to install rails along stairways, for example, that can help to give you support so that you reduce the risk of having a fall. We also have to bear in mind that falls can have severe consequences. Sometimes you fall and you get a small bruise or a scratch, and that's okay. But other times you can have severe injuries. You can break a hip, break a leg, have a head injury, and some people even die from a fall. And so when we think of that severity, then we know that we really need to safeguard ourselves.
Yes, because from my experience, like I have a cataract in my left eye. So you know that even that puts you out a little as far as vision is concerned. Now the bathroom, for example, I put in, Grab bars. Grab to hold, and make certain that like soap water you don't step at the end of your bath, because that is where like soap suds usually gather, but in the bath itself.
So we can talk about the bathroom. There are many things that you can do in the bathroom to keep it safe. So for instance, the entrance to your shower.
Yes.
A vertical grab bar is very useful there. It helps you to step into the bath safely. And then on the inside, a horizontal grab bar can give you support while you have your shower. Yes. Some persons can even install shower chairs. That way they don't have to stand and take the shower, so we don't run the risk of falling when we lift our leg. And we can sit, have the shower, and be safe. We can also think about removing rugs and mats that can be slippery.
I don't use a bath mat anymore in the bath, because the bath is supposed to be non-skid, and it works. But what I often think about is changing out the tub completely and putting something that is lower, so you just step into the shower area rather than, because who is soaking in the tub anyway?
That is one of the recommendations that's often made. So you want to be as close to the ground as possible. So even as zero entry, shower would be great. So you just walk right in, or something that you open a doorway if you want to keep your tub, open a doorway to get into the tub, and it still has a lower entry level.
Right.
Coming up in the business report, U.S. fintech firm announces availability of tech solutions locally. We have that story plus other market updates from our reporter, Danita Rodney.
American fintech company Fiserv has entered the Jamaican market and is hoping to tap financial institutions and businesses that want to improve their core banking and card issuing capabilities, as well as transform customer digital banking experiences. The US-based company, which operates in more than 100 countries, sees Jamaica as a strategic market and says they have a robust regional strategy to incorporate financial technology solutions throughout Central America and the Caribbean. For your market updates, in foreign exchange trading for Monday, October 24, the US dollar sold for an average of $153.76. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $117.26. The pound sterling traded for $172.58, and the euro sold for $152.06. In JSE trading, the JSE index declined by 2,003 points. The junior market index declined by 58 points. The combined market index declined by 2,400 points. And the All Jamaican Composite Index declined by 3,122 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 111 stocks, of which 41 advanced, 51 declined, and 19 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 1834 Investments Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Verbal Preference, and AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited. Trading firm were Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited, Derrimont Trading Company Limited, and Epley 7.50% preference shares due 2024. The overall volume leaders were Tropical Battery Company Limited and JFP Limited with over 2 million units, and Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 1 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Glico Investment Fund was the only security posting a volume of 24 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, First Caribbean International Bank was the sole security trading 498 shares. In regional business, Executive Director of the Barbados Manufacturers Association, Sharday Boyce, says the association is pleased to see the growing number of local businesses that have already positioned themselves or are actively getting ready to export their products.
This summit was carefully curated in terms of the goals that we wanted to achieve. And I think that a lot of them are now more ready to export in terms of the developmental work we were doing leading up to the summit. I think that was also very important. We would have made contact with Africa. We would have signed an MOU with Kenya. So now we had the first Trade and Innovation Summit. We expect that next year we would have an even bigger conference in terms of the summit component training and then the expo. So I'm really, really looking forward to next year. This was our first year, and I think that we've done a good job in terms of achieving what we want to achieve.
In international business, shares of Chinese firms listed in the US have slumped on concerns that President Xi Jinping will continue with his ideology-driven approach at the cost of economic growth. Chinese technology giants Alibaba and Baidu fell by over 12% in New York on Monday, and the slump has caused investors to fear the world's second largest economy will be held back by its tough coronavirus restrictions. In market data for oil prices rose after falling more than $1 a barrel earlier in the session. Brent crude rose 40 cents to $93.66 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude rose by 70 cents to $85.28. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Denita Rodney.
In regional news, in Belize, there is great news coming out of the Brasino administration following a recent trip by a high-level delegation headed by Junior Minister of Finance Chris Coy to Washington to meet with representatives from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and the World Bank. The financial agencies are impressed with Belize's economic recovery post the COVID-19 pandemic, so much so that the country will be used as an example to other nations.
The IMF and the World Bank, they are impressed with our macroeconomic indicators, looking at the forecast of where debt to GDP will be, and I will wait until the official figures are being produced, but it is forecasted that it will be where it has never been before in terms of reduction on the positive side, not on the negative side, meaning that it have come up from 132.5% of where we inherited. It was an inheritance that we received in, that was back in November of 2020, and it has reduced, well, right now it's at 89%. 89 is our debt to GDP, and the projections is that it will reduce some more. And the growth to GDP, the growth in terms of GDP is significantly. And there is also some good news in terms of the poverty census, which we will disclose the figures once SIB publish the results. The growth looks very well. The projections looking very good. So they are excited. Actually, we don't have a problem to be a poster child to the IMF and World Bank right now. While other countries in the region, both in the Caribbean, South America, even the United States, the United States practically is in an economic recession right now. Belize is in the trend of still having economic growth.
As Bahamas Air prepares to launch direct flights from North Carolina, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister responsible for tourism Chester Cooper says bookings are already taking off.
He made the news during the Ministry of Tourism's global sales mission to North Carolina. Cooper says the message of the new flight service was well received.
I am particularly excited about that direct flight. Bahamas Air, direct from Raleigh, North Carolina to Freeport, Grand Bahama, onward to Nassau. We already have a lot of bookings on this flight. Our travel advisors and our specialists are excited about this possibility. It's convenient. It's going to be Thursdays and Sundays. We are promoting that long weekend vacation in the Bahamas, or we're promoting Thursday to Thursday or Thursday to Sunday.
Cooper adds that the Bahamas has great connections both in Charlotte and Raleigh. He says while tourism officials are excited to showcase Nassau and Paradise Island, the goal is to advertise other island destinations.
We are promoting our 16-island destination. Yes, we're excited about Nassau, Paradise Island, but we want our guests and our tourists to know that they can go direct, for example, to Nassau and onward to Harbor Island by ferry, or they can go to Freeport, Grand Bahama and onward to Crown Haven, Abaco by ferry, or of course they can go to Georgetown, Exuma, and then they can visit Long Island.
In international news, the UNFCCC has issued a call for action for all countries to work together to combat climate change. According to the UNFCCC, we need to come together for implementation to ramp up #ClimateAction and to ensure no one is left behind. From November 6 to November 18, heads of state, ministers, and negotiators, along with climate activists, mayors, civil society representatives, and CEOs, will meet in the Egyptian coastal city of Sharm el-Sheikh for the largest annual gathering on climate action. The 27th Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, COP27, will build on the outcomes of COP26 to deliver action on an array of issues critical to tackling the climate emergency.
Most scientists agree that an increase of just 0.4 more degrees will drastically change the world.
And the world are dealing with record extreme heat.
Storms have been causing deadly floods.
You could have mass melting of ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica.
If we don't act immediately, scientists say the consequences will be catastrophic.
3 degrees of warming is really disastrous.
Dealing with unprecedented heat waves and drought.
All day today, the rain falling so heavily and so quickly.
$10 billion. But recovery funds are tight.
Rescuers doing everything they can to reach survivors.
Time. What if we could buy ourselves time? What if we could go back in time, undo what we've done, and start over? I say what if, because that is simply impossible. As the world moves forward at an unprecedented pace, we need to find ways to keep up with change and with time. For the past 4.5 billion years, planet Earth has been thriving, growing, and constantly evolving. And while we've only been around for thousands of years, some of what we've done is irreparable. Now, our planet needs our help, and we're running out of time. In today's rapidly warming world, the climate crisis won't wait for anyone. That's where you come in. You, the decision makers, the game changers, the forward thinkers, the first responders. You who make things happen and get things moving. You can help give the Earth a fighting chance. And the time to do so is right now. There's no extra time.
This is your chance to step up.
To turn pledges to action and put our future back on the right track.
In sports, Jamaican sprinter Khalees Spencer is to be given a bronze medal from her 400-meter hurdles race at the 2012 London Olympics. This after Russian runner Natalia Antioch was disqualified on Monday for her win in that race for doping. And Lashinda Demus of the United States is set to be upgraded to the gold medal. At the 2012 Olympics on August 8, Demus finished 0.07 seconds behind the Russian winner. Athletics Integrity Unit says the new ruling, based on historical evidence recovered from a Moscow testing laboratory database, further disqualified Antioch in all of her events from July 15, 2012 through to June 29, 2013, track and field. Cricket West Indies announced on Monday that Phil Simmons will be stepping down from his role as head coach from the West Indies men's team. His announcement follows the team's exit from the ICC Men's T20 World Cup being played in Australia. His last assignment will be the upcoming 2-test series against Australia from November 30 to December 12. Simmons in a statement says, quote, "It's disappointing and heart-wrenching, but we just didn't turn up. We weren't good enough, and we now have to watch a tournament play out without our involvement. It's unfathomable. And for that, I deeply apologize to our fans and followers," end quote. He says the decision comes from a personal perspective that is not a knee-jerk reaction, but a move he has been considering for some time, and now is the time to make public. CWI President Ricky Skerritt thanked Simmons for his service, describing Simmons as a proud West Indian with high ideals and has never lacked motivation in guiding our younger players on and off the field of play. Skerritt says, quote, "He brought valuable experience and stability at a very important period of transformation, including the most challenging environment of the COVID-19 pandemic. We wish him all the best in his future endeavors," end quote. Simmons was at the helm in 2016 when West Indies won their second ICC Men's T20 World Cup title, defeating England in the Eden Gardens in Kolkata. And that's it for the news. Thanks so much for watching.